Hello and welcome to the part 3 of building the industrial zone in Rockdale, or expanding the industrial zone in Rockdale. In the last episode, we continued doing the second quarter, the one near the river on the right side here. I'm going to call it the first lower quadrant. Today we are going to continue with that quadrant and also do some work in the second lower quadrant, which is the biggest one, where I'm pointing at with the mouse cursor. Well, not anymore. Well, yeah, the biggest one on the left side of the first lower quadrant. So I'm going to call it the second lower quadrant. Now, first, we are going to connect these two railroads together just before the bridge. As you can see, I'm just going to do a very simple junction so that trains can go either way. If they go from the straight railroad or the curved railroad, they can just go either way over the river. The bridge that doesn't have the train right now is the bypass railroad, so it's obviously necessary to make it possible for trains to use that. I want to make it nice, so I'm just using Move It to upgrade all these segments to the necessary positions, as you can see here. Also, I'm trying not to have the connections distorted like that. There we go. Move It does it nicely. I'm going to destroy some of the gravel paths that I did. These gravel paths again represent the actual connections that need to be made, but at this point I kind of already remembered how I want to do this in here, so I don't really need them anymore, and I can just get rid of them, at least in this quadrant for now. As I was saying in the last video, I don't want to use these stations all the time. I want to use some of those Miyagi Motors train stations that I showed you in the previous video. You can see me, I'm building one in here right now. Now, the basic idea for this train station is that, well, first let me explain how this train station works. Also, first I'm going to use the mod which is called Touch This to destroy the roads that were placed together with that building. Now, this building works so that the road, the cargo road, the asphalt road, is parallel to the railroad. And it actually goes straight through the building. There is actually a back entrance to this building. And the idea was that I'm going to make cars go towards the back entrance. They can then go straight through the building, do their business there, like unload and load cargo, and then exit through the front of the building. That's at least the idea, but I've never seen these buildings in action. I don't actually know what can they do. Also in here, I'm just going to do the 34 unit module. Then I decided that I don't want to have the station exactly there. I wanted to save some more space, so I'm going to put it somewhere else. Also, those connections from the first lower quadrant are probably not going to be possible, so I decided I don't want to have them there. I tried to place the station very close to the junction, as you can see I'm pointing there, so that we can connect right into the junction with the railroad and kind of save space, and to kind of concentrate the junctions into one area, which is probably a good idea to make it look nicer. I'm just finalizing the positions here. But then I noticed that, then I realized that I really do need to test how this building works. First, I wanted to have another building that's kind of like a continuation of this train station. I'm just building a road that's going to mark the 34 units that I need, because the station is like half of that. And then I'm going to place this building, which is just a factory building with the railroad and road going straight through, so that I can realize my plan like I explained. So the traffic might enter through the back building and exit through the front. As you can see, there is a tunnel going right straight through both of these buildings. Just connecting all the necessary roads and railroad, just like that. But yeah, at this point I definitely realized that I need to test this, because if it's not going to work like I want it to work, then obviously this is not going to be possible to build. So I placed the Miyagi train station into already built area in the downtown, like you can see here. It's not exactly realistic. Now, as you can see, these two roads, the one coming from the back and from the front, have two directions. And the traffic leaves only through the front. Now I'm going to upgrade it so that the road is only one direction and it goes, as you can see here. But unfortunately, cars, yes, they do enter through the back of the building, but they still want to go to the front of the building and then turn back and go, unload or load cargo. I tried to reverse the direction and it's not exactly working like I wanted it to. As you can see, some traffic issues here. So the point of this is that the Miyagi train station cannot work like I wanted it to work. The traffic must enter and exit only through the front of the building, unfortunately. Maybe there is a way to actually make it go, both directions without some weird traffic behavior, but it doesn't really actually matter. This position of the train station is going to work, and the traffic can just enter and exit through the front of the building without any problems. But it was definitely necessary to understand the behavior of this station. Again, using touch this mod to destroy that road, and going to connect the railroad to the main path, just like that. This is actually the final position of this railroad. I'm not going to move it anymore. This is how it's going to stay forever, pretty much. Just finishing up the road layout in the second lower quadrant. As you can see, I'm going to do two 34-unit areas for those Miyagi Motors buildings. This connection over the river is not really necessary. I wanted to have it here in case I needed it, but no longer needed. Now, I realized that in the first lower quadrant, like we did that in the last video, I was explaining already that it's not going to stay like that. And as you can see here, I already, when I was doing the video, when I was doing the live stream, I already decided that I don't want to have it like that because of the curved railroad going through the zone, or through this quadrant. The curved railroad would make it impossible for any Miyagi Motors buildings to be built there. There would just be no space for that. So I did it like this. And then I need to connect it to the highways, to the highway ramps, coming from the train station and coming from the main highway network. This was kind of tricky. This actually took me quite a long time. This is heavily edited. I was not exactly sure how to build this without making it look too big, too heavy. I did not actually manage that. In here, I'm trying to do like some sort of a loop. This is actually going to be like that in the final iteration, but I'm not exactly satisfied with this connection. I might make it slightly different. I also needed to make like a highway connection from the main highway. The loop that I built a few seconds ago was just a return path from the station. In here, I was not sure how to do this at all, so I tried to make like a complete loop like that, just to not have a very steep gradient going down with that road. But then I decided that no, I don't want to have it like that. It's just too much roads. So I destroyed that and just continued with it like that. And then I'm going to do a 2-lane road, which is going to merge these two ramps together. Again, the lower one is from the highway, the upper one is return path from the train station that we built, that we focused on in the last video. And I'm just going to finalize this kind of a loop. I'm going to make it nicer with Move It and Fine Road Tools. I'm going to put it on the surface like that. The loop itself actually doesn't look that bad, although as you can see in the upper part of the screen, we have like 4 highways that are parallel to each other. It's really wide, it's really big. As I said, I don't really like it. Anyway, in here I'm going to do another lane in this quadrant, and it's going to go exactly parallel, well, not exactly, but in the future I will make it go exactly parallel to that railroad. So I'm kind of respecting the position of the railroad a bit more. Now in here, I'm going to place the first Miyagi Motors industrial factory. I'm going to use touch this, and as you can see, this model of the building has a road going straight through it. I'm going to use that for the tram. But first I need to actually measure the exact position that I can do for those Miyagi Motors buildings, which means I'm going to build the first kind of a segment of the factory. As you can see, these buildings are looking very nice. And unfortunately, I built the segment with the road slightly off, so I need to build it again. And then use touch this to upgrade the road going straight to it, to the tracks, to the tram tracks. And this is going to stay like that. This is going to stay. This first segment of the factories are going to stay exactly like they are right now. Again, using touch this and just upgrading the road going through for the tracks, making them go straight from the buildings like this. I will make it connect later, because so far I don't really have any idea how to do the rest of the area, so I'm just going to leave it for now like that, making sure that we have the correct roads in this area. Pretty much the entire zone is done using one-way roads. Now we need to decide how exactly are we going to go underneath those tracks. I guess I could have gone even like over them, but that probably wouldn't look good. So I'm lowering the terrain in here, and then I'm going to make a connection probably from the highway, from the main highway network, to the second lower quadrant, the one to the left of the tracks from this view, making it parallel to the wall, because it probably will look much nicer if it's parallel, and then just trying to make a nice curve in here. As you can see, I'm really trying to make it into a symmetrical curve, connecting at 180 degrees on both sides, upgrading directions and making it elevated over the tram. And it's actually going to form a really nice kind of an entrance portal to the station. I think I might even detail this area. I don't even do detailing that much, but this area I probably might detail a bit to make it into some sort of a kind of an entrance gate to the newly built industrial area, because we already have an entrance gate, but to the old area. The elevated road pretty much makes a gate by itself. Anyway, in here I decided that I want to go under the railroad using a tunnel, very short tunnel like that. I wanted to do it like this because I don't really want to, well, at that point I didn't really want to do an elevated tracks, because I guess it was not exactly the greatest thing ever to make the junction into elevated railroads. But these tunnels, I can already tell you that these tunnels are not going to be there. I didn't exactly like them I didn't exactly like them even when I was making them, but at that point it seemed like the only way to do it. Finishing the retaining wall near the river, as you can see, and using Move It to position it nicely with the road. In here, in the second upper quadrant, I'm going to destroy also these gravel paths, because again, I think at this point I had a very good idea on how to do all this. So the gravel paths were not exactly necessary there. And also, let's not forget to make the industrial zone into one district. Very important. It's actually kind of important because I can observe the number of workers, stuff like that. There has to be a multiple of these tunnels connecting it underneath. Well, not tunnels, but connections in general. I'm not exactly sure what I was thinking at this point, because I'm pretty sure, well, first, this road that I'm building parallel to the wall, this is going to be the return path towards the highway network. I think it's going to save a lot of space, making it hug the wall like that. But in here I'm weirdly trying to connect it to the second tunnel, which I'm not exactly sure what I was thinking back there, but well, as I said, the tunnels are not going to stay like that, so we don't need to worry about that. And this is the last tunnel Kind of wanted to have it in here, but then I decided against that. But again, let's not jump ahead. This tunnel needed to be slightly curved like that because it's going to form the exit path from the Miyagi Motors station to the second lower quadrant. Again, what I'm building right now is the first lower quadrant, and the bigger one to the left of this view, which we cannot really see right now, is the second lower quadrant. Just so it's not too confusing. It probably already is. Alright, this railroad needs to go elevated again, like it was before. Need to do some terrain changes, and this is the return path from the Miyagi Motors station that needs to connect to the tunnel. I decided that I don't actually want to make it go underneath the curved railroad, so maybe this might have been a nice solution. Again, I don't think I'm going to spoil anything if I'm going to tell you that this is not exactly how it is in the finished state. But yeah, this tunnel entrance might have been very nice. Anyway, in here I'm trying to focus on finishing the entrance and exit road from the station. I'm making it into two roads like that. One of them is the entrance, one of them is the exit, like I said. And the one is going to go elevated over the other one. They kind of need to be on the different levels because they are going to go to completely different parts of the zone. Just trying to make them longer. At this point, I don't think I had the exact idea how to make this place, so I'm just continuing with the trial and error thing, like I pretty much do with the entire build, and just trying to go like segment by segment, connection by connection, one by one, and just to see how it works. All that I'm showing you here is just pretty much an experiment. That's like a general, like a thing with the entire zone. I'm most sure that some connections are going to be changed, like maybe a long time from now, but who knows? This is just an experiment. Obviously, I don't have any traffic in here, so I can't really say if this is going to work or not. Anyway, as I said, I was not exactly sure how to continue with this, so I'm using the gravel road to paint the connections. This should be the return path from the Miyagi station to the first quadrant, which is the upper quadrant. I decided that I want to actually merge it into the same road as the station used. And then I'm going to use the traffic manager to actually make it separate. The traffic directions make it separate. Again, there's probably no point in explaining all the connections in here. It's going to get really confusing if I even tried. I definitely want to do a video at the end of this build, after I build, every connection in this zone. I definitely want to do a video where I'm going to explain all the connections, even with, traffic already using it. And it's going to be a video where I'm not going to use these stream footage. I'm going to use a live footage for that. Yeah, as you can see, it's going to be very complicated near the Miyagi Motors station. I can already tell you that it will be complicated, and it actually took me a long time. I'm not sure, but if my memory is correct, I think we might actually dedicate an entire video to just this place around the Miyagi Motors station, because it really will be complicated, and it definitely took me a long time. I think an entire stream, actually. This is the first connection from the Miyagi Motors station, the one leaving the station towards the second lower quadrant. Anyway, we are coming to an end of this video. We started building the second lower quadrant, and we are kind of finalizing the first lower quadrant. This is all for this video. I thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Goodbye.